Ranjan, for inviting me for this discussion, and greetings to Tathagata Babu, and greetings to Kavita Muralidharan. So, first things first, and I think Tathagata Babu also hinted at it, is that, and it's hinted, it's not hinted, it's actually written out in the first line of the Constitution of India. India, that is Bharat, is a union of states. What does that mean? It means Tathagata Babu's Oriya forefathers, my Bengali forefathers, Dharanidharan's Tamil forefathers, and I'm sure Narendra Modi's Gujarati forefathers, and every one of us, Karpuri Thakur's Bihari forefathers, we all decided that after having thrown off the British yoke, we will now rule ourselves. But we will not be sovereign units. We will come together to create an example to the world that a subcontinent as diverse as us, as multifarious as us, can coexist together in peace and prosper according to their own merit, while things that require coordination and pooling of resources we will do together, hence the construct of the union or the center. For example, let's think about external defense. Now, surely, if Oriyas are contributing, Bengalis are contributing, Tamils are contributing, Punjabis are contributing, Gujaratis are contributing, and everyone else, this subcontinent has a greater external defense. It's very obvious. Same for external affairs. Same for currency. For example, we will have an internal market where we can trade with each other without tariffs, etc. And we can have a same currency. But beyond that brief, when things start impinging on state autonomy or internal affairs of a state to the detriment of certain states, for the benefit of certain states, it starts looking like an imperial relationship, a relationship between an imperium and colonies. So the question of Hindi, India or Hindia, to me, goes beyond the linguistic question. Because what is, essentially, these are not languages that are kind of floating in air. These are languages spoken by people for hundreds of years who have their own polity. Let us remember, according to the Supreme Court, the states are not mere administrative units. These are political units. Let us remember that the federal structure is part of the fundamental. It's a fundamental part of the Indian Constitution. It cannot be changed by the Parliament. Okay, it will be unconstitutional to do it. It's part of the basic structure. Even in the Constituent Assembly debates, where our forefathers were framing the Constitution, there was this debate. And what we might be calling a Hindi imperial lobby had been active, as Tathagata Babu pointed out, in the Congress itself at that point of time, whose latest and most, let's say, dangerous version you might find in the BJP at present. So in the Constituent Assembly, things were said like, those who do not know Hindi have no right to be in this house. Well, that's a statement, that's also one of the Constitution formers, people who actually voted for the Constitution we have. So we have that fundamental problem from the very start, because we threw out the British to be equal citizens. The whole idea, I mean, it's not the issue that the British had different skin color than us. That was not the problem. It's the nature of the relationship that was the problem, is that they are higher, we natives are lower, and that is the problem. That is imperialism. So when you replace or try to replace London by Delhi and English by Hindi, there is a fundamental problem that non-Hindi people will have a problem with, and they have had this problem and they have raised it in the Constituent Assembly itself. For example, this 14th of September is called Hindi Day. Now, typically, a day for a language would be a day of achievement, typically one of martyrdom for the rights of the language, or the, let's say, the birth of a poet or a writer with whom you associate the greatness of a language, etc. There may be various things. But Hindi Day is the day when, after the British left, all our non-Hindi mother tongues were relegated to second-class position, and Hindi was relegated to a position upper than the rest of us. So we became essentially second-class citizens on 14 September 1949, that is Hindi Day, which is why my organization marks that day as a Black Day. And it's not against Hindi. It is, as I must say, it is against Hindi imperialism. I have no problem with Hindi people celebrating Hindi, speaking in Hindi, writing in Hindi, talking in Hindi, having services in Hindi, doing everything that a human being should be able to do in Hindi as a right which is available to most peoples in the world. Croats are able to do things in Croatian. Germans are able to do things in German. Nepalese are able to do things in Nepalese. You know, I mean, the list can go on. One gets the idea. But the problem lies what Hindi people can do in the Indian Union, non-Hindi people cannot do. Let me give a few examples and it will be clear. For example, at the union government level, right? I cannot expect, for example, even a parliamentarian like Tathagato Babu has to speak in Oriya if he wishes to, by giving prior notice to the House, to the Speaker, while a Hindi person can just speak extempore, what he feels from his mind. Thus, our flow of thought will have to be predetermined. We cannot speak freely. Parliamentary committees which would invite suggestions from the public, from the citizens on various important matters like bills, and they routinely do it. And that's a very important part of Westminster-style democracy. That can only be submitted in Hindi or English, not in Oriya, not in Tamil, not in Bangla. So we are being rendered voiceless. But some people are not being rendered voiceless. So some people have a voice in democracy, in the parliamentary functioning. Some people do not have a voice. The Indian Army, Subhash Chandra Bosu's birthplace, Orissa, and Subhash Chandra Bosu's Karmabhumi, Bengal and the world, if I may say, the languages of none of these people are allowed as languages in which Indian Army entry exams can be given, or for that matter, CISF or CRPF or BSF. And that is true for most union government departments. All these websites we have, which are there, which are funded by revenue from all people, all citizens of India, and particularly and disproportionately from the revenues of non-Hindi states, I must add this, and that's an important part of the problem. We do not have those services. Go to any Government of India website, any ministry, anything, all of these schemes called Startup India, Skill India, we have nothing in Tamil, Oriya, Bangla, Punjabi, anything. It has Hindi and English, which means some people will have it in their mother tongue and other people will not have it in their mother tongue, which makes people who do not have it as lesser citizens. And that is not the promise of 15th August 1947. The promise of 15th August 1947 is Swaraj is my birthright and we shall have it. It is not Hindi Raj. So, and the list goes on. Banking. Most banks don't have these things. Services. Income tax. If I want to pay income tax, I cannot submit my returns in Bangla. A person from UP or Bihar or Rajasthan can submit it in Hindi. And then there is this enduring idea that Hindi is the face of India. Hindi is the marker of unity of India, and various false concepts like that. What unites Indian citizens is the Constitution of India. We have a constitution that binds us. We have the anti-imperialist struggle against the British that binds us. That's what binds us. It is not a language. It is not as if Orias and Bengalis and Tamils were going along speaking Hindi to qualify as freedom fighters. In fact, most of Bengali freedom fighters had nothing to do with Hindi. They did not know Hindi, which does not make them lesser freedom fighters or lesser martyrs or lesser anything for that matter. And this can go on and on in every department. For example, a tender, the way of making money. A union government, or for that matter, any government, has two ways of spending money. Either through salary, which includes pension and every other thing like that, or tenders, right? Now the tender part, they are published in Hindi and English and not in our mother tongues. So we will not even understand. While the people who will decide who will get the tender through jobs, government babu dam or official dam or bureaucracy, that is disproportionately Hindi tilted, Hindi favored, due to the fact that you can give 90% of those exams in Hindi and English, but not in Oriya, Tamil or Bangla, which means obviously nexus develop. People who get the tenders are of a certain people, of the same people, of the people who are deciding the tenders, which are being decided by exams which do not happen in non-Hindi mother tongues. In a very landmark judgment in 2012, many people say, I don't see you guys opposing English in that way, right? And as a Bengali nationalist and an Indian citizen, I have a very clear reply to that. And the reply is buttressed by the laws prevalent in India. In 2012, the Gujarat High Court, in a landmark judgment, said, for Gujaratis, Hindi is a foreign language. Let me say that word. For Gujaratis, Hindi is a foreign language. Any language other than my mother tongue is a foreign language. That's the legal position. So English is as foreign to me as Hindi. But if we really go by our history, it is English-speaking, railway networked elites, if you will, who formed the concept of Indian statehood. It's very clear. We know how these things came about. And English is part of the superhighway through which we are connected to the world of knowledge and commerce and everything, scientific research to arts to the world at large. And as Sen Annadurai said, whatever be this common link that we talk about, this common link has to be equally advantageous and disadvantageous to everyone. That is the basis of equal citizenship. It cannot be that the common language is nearer to someone and farther away from someone. English, being not a language of people native to any part of the Indian Union, has that unique position as an equidistant language where advantages and disadvantages can be shared equally. Also, it happens to be the only language that is taught in every school of India, in every state of India, in every board. There is no school in the Indian Union where English is not taught. There are many schools in Tamil Nadu, in West Bengal, in fact, most schools where Hindi is not taught because it's not needed. And if the need arises based out of, what is the need? One might ask. The need is economics. The need is one of, where do I want to go? Where's my future? We might have to learn Chinese as third language, or German, or Turkish, based on where the world economy goes. I'm just giving out certain names. Similarly, if I were to see that most of the migration is happening to Tamil Nadu, and if I want to join the automobile industry, for example, I better try to learn Tamil, rather than expect Tamils to talk to me in Hindi when somebody from UP or Bihar or Rajasthan arrive. Similarly, when somebody comes in to be part of the jute industry or the tea industry or the port industry in Bengal, I expect that person to know Bangla. You are trying to make money here. Learn it. Somebody who wants to go to the mining industry in Bengal should learn Bangla, or mining industry in Orissa should learn Oriya. It's very simple. It's a very basic idea. Service, and this has now permeated even the private sector. Most of the calls which we get from various companies are either in Hindi or English. The Indian Union may be the weirdest place where the customer has to learn the language of customer service and not vice versa. Okay? It is as if the customer is serving the customer service. The customer service is not serving the customer. And we can use that analogy for the relationship between citizen and state. Rashtro, not in the Rajyo sense, state, but in the Rashtro sense. If my Rashtro is not speaking my language, I am a lesser citizen to that Rashtro. And many people say it is unwieldy and it is impractical to have so many languages. Well, having all scheduled languages having equal official status is as practical or impractical as having all these ethnic nationalities or linguistic nationalities together in a union. And we think it is practical. We can either have unity or we can have uniformity. We cannot have both. It's a time-tested thing. People who divide on the basis of language, saying my language has more rights and your language has less rights, are divisive forces in the Indian Union. People who stand for federalism, for linguistic equality, who stand for the equal status of Hindi, English, Bangla, Oriya, Kannada, Tamil. We are for unity. We have to preserve. If, for example, we have a garland, India is like a garland where there is Rajanigandha, there is Genda, there is Bale, various flowers. Okay. Now, if you want to make all of them into some same flower kind of a garland, first you have to untie the garland and then take out these things and then replace it by other things. From the very start, and I'll end, from the very start, we have had a scenario where the Indian Union, which was supposed to be a place where we all flourish, has become largely a playing field for Gujarat and Rajasthan-based capital, with the Indian Union administered areas as a market, and for long-term strategic stability of these markets, the explosive population of states where Hindi/Urdu or Hindustani, whatever name you call it, they're the same language, there is migration from those areas. Migration will happen. But when you have large differences in fertility rates, you have a slow replacement of the people. India was not formed on the basis of any language, but the states were. Orissa was the first linguistic state. Orissa was part of Bengal, but it was not part of ethnic Bengal. It was part of a British construct called Bengal. You know? And Oriyas deserve their own homeland, as do every other people. So when Amit Shah talks about linked language, why is he not talking about incentivizing Oriyas learning Bengali and Bengalis learning Oriya? If a Oriya and a Bengali learn each other's language, don't two Indians become closer and united? Is it only through Delhi and Hindi we become united? Kolkata and Bhubaneswar are very close. If we have to go from Kolkata to Delhi and then come to Bhubaneswar, there's a lot of loss of resources, unnecessary. Every Indian who learns somebody else's language in a natural way, we want to leave it to this natural scene, what we need. The markets will decide. Human needs will decide. But when you want to impose a certain linking language, Hindi for that matter, what you are essentially trying to link is to link the ever-exploding population of the cowbelt to non-Hindi states of potential migration, so that this migration does not face any opposition from the native population in their way of working or whatever. So that, and then we all become appendages to this big thing. India is not a majoritarian union, but the population trends show it is very near to becoming so. And the 2026 seat redistribution on the basis of latest population figures will make it a Hindi nation, will make us minorities. Bengalis or Oriyas or Tamils never thought of themselves as minorities. They thought of themselves as Oriyas and Indians, Bengalis and Indians, not as linguistic minorities. And that is a scenario we might be looking at if the 2026 seat redistribution is allowed to pass. So we are looking at a very crucial juncture about the future of the Indian Union. All non-Hindi people and all Hindi Urdu people who care about the unity, who stand for the unity of the Indian Union, should come together for linguistic equality, for state rights, and for wholesale transfer of subjects from the union list to the state list and from the whole concurrent list to the state list. There should not be any concurrent list. It is essentially a British construct in response to Provincial Autonomy of 1935 Government of India Act, so as to control the state governments. And every language, let us remember, are either regional languages or these are national languages. Jati, I am from Bangali Jati. Jati means nation. So Jatiyo Bhasha, national language. Jatiyo and Rashtriyo should not be mixed up. And the Rashtra does not have a language. The Rashtra has many languages. Very recently, just 2 days ago, in the NET exam, Bangla, in the computer-based test, for the Bangla paper, everything was gibberish. And I know it will not be heard. Nobody will care. If it were Hindi, there would be furor. It would be 8 p.m. show on Delhi channels. Same is going on for CBSE, which is pushing a Hindi agenda through NEET and the National New Education Policy. We must unite for the unity of India against these forces which discriminate between Indians on the basis of language. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Garga. As usual, I think you were passionate about the cause, and thank you for a very detailed presentation.